Do you remember a video we did a little while back where the Fontana, California police psychologically tortured this guy during an investigation in which his father had disappeared? This is Thomas Perez Jr., he made the call that his father had disappeared. The police convinced this guy that his father was dead and that he killed him when his father was still alive. They threatened to euthanize his dog. They mentally tormented him and subjected him to sleep deprivation so that they could get the confession out of him. And there's more to this story. CNN actually did a follow-up. So this is a follow-up on the story that we were talking about. There's one more or two more pieces of evidence and two more pieces of information you really need to know to find out just how bad the Fontana, California police actually are.
The story you'll only hear on CNN. It's about a man named Tom Perez who called police for help. He thought his father was missing, but police came to believe he'd killed his father. And what happened next is stunning. CNN's Shimon Prokupecz has the story.
In August 2018, Tom Perez called Fontana, California police to report his elderly father missing.
Hello, this is CSO with Fontana Police. So can I put him in the system right now as a missing person?
But 36 hours later, Perez was placed on a psychiatric hold for trying to take his own life. And the Fontana Police Department had gotten him to admit to a murder he never committed.
The guy is literally pulling out his own hair because of the psychological torture that the cops subjected him to. He's pulling out his own hair.
I was now in their little box of horrors. Their little box, as they call it.
Perez has never publicly spoken about what happened until now to CNN.
I felt like they were my captors. And I had nothing, there was nothing I could do.
Detectives at the Fontana Police Department brought Perez in for questioning over his missing father. He soon became their prime suspect.
It's really concerning to me that he hasn't been back yet.
They were convinced Perez's father had been murdered at the home the two shared. Police said Perez appeared suspicious, and they suspected a violent act based on broken furniture, and that some of his father's things were discarded. They also said they found some blood evidence inside the home. Perez told police the mess was from home renovations, and they were getting rid of things before selling it. After searching the home, police asked him to go to the station. That's when detectives turned a missing persons call into a 17-hour interrogation to get a confession. When they were not successful, they recruited Perez's close friend to help.
Dude, they got you on murder, dude. They got you on murder.
So the cops, with no evidence, just fabricated a murder, said his dad was dead. They had no evidence to testify to that.
Impossible.
When the friend, who later said he regretted his involvement, didn't get a confession, the interrogators brought his pet dog Margot into the room.
You killed him, and he's dead. And your dog is sitting here looking at you, knowing that you killed your dad.
Detectives suggested that Margot might need to be put down.
These are the worst of the worst. These are the protectors and servants of the people who are fabricating a murder and trying to pin the murder on this guy and then psychologically wear him down by saying, your dog saw the murder, he saw the whole thing. Now they're going to threaten to kill his dog. The two most important things in this guy's life, his dad and his dog, and they're going to rip everything from him.
After witnessing such a traumatic event.
Just wanted to hold her. Not let go. And then they took her out of the room sometime after that. And felt like the end of the world for me.
Will you beer?
I've never, ever seen a situation where the police bring a dog this size through the police department, they transport it there, walk it through the police department, bring it into an interrogation room, and use it as a tool in order to seek a confession. It's unconscionable. It's simply unconscionable.
Throughout the interrogation, Perez says he was suffering from mental health issues, but was denied medical help.
Are you gonna bring me my doctor? You won't take me to the ER?
You don't need to go to the ER.
In the footage CNN reviewed, police lead a sleep-deprived and exasperated Perez into a confession.
Did you stab him?
I didn't think that I did.
But if you did, where would you have stabbed him?
It might have been the belly.
They got him to affirm suggestions they made to him. Like, well, you stabbed them. Okay, I stabbed them.
Distraught, psychologically beaten, and overwhelmed with grief, Perez says he tried to take his own life using his shoelace.
They attacked me right at the very things that I love most. My fur baby, my father. And it doesn't seem like there's anything left. I couldn't see the reason to continue with more pain.
But his father wasn't dead.
Margot, I believe, was following me.
Police learned from Perez's sister that their father was unharmed, but Perez remained in the interrogation room.
They learned that Tom's father was alive and well and was at LAX airport ready to take a flight to go visit his sister. They didn't have the nerve to look him in the face. They didn't have the nerve to tell him his dad's okay.
They let me in that mental anguish and just suffer continually.
Police put him on a psychiatric hold at a hospital, where days later he finally learns his father is alive.
A younger nurse came over to my bedside and says, I know it says in your file that not to speak to anybody, any family members, but your dad's on the phone. And I went, what? She handed the phone to me, and I just dropped to the floor crying because he was alive.
Wow.
5 days of hell. After he called the police for help, he is reunited with his father.
And he said, Dad, is that you? Is that really you? I said, yes. We had tears in our eyes.
Seeking accountability for what he endured, Perez filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Fontana.
Police officers are trained that they can engage in deception. But when you go over the line and you engage in deceptive action that would cause an innocent person to confess to a crime they didn't commit, that's where the line is crossed.
One of the detectives defended his actions in deposition video exclusively obtained by CNN.
I don't think that the police department would say we did anything wrong. We were just attempting to get some information from Mr. Perez, and that we had been with Mr. Perez all day, and we were running out of things to say to him to try to get the answer about where his father was located.
There is no...
Wait a second. Let's hear this again.
I don't think that the police department would say we did anything wrong.
You don't think the police department would say you did anything wrong? Well, how about you? You have a brain, you have a heart, you have a conscience. Do you think you did anything wrong? Let me ask you this. If the shoe is on the other foot, would you want somebody to treat you or somebody you loved in the way you treated Mr. Perez? No, absolutely not. And if you say, I wouldn't mind, then you're a psychopath or you're a liar or both. You're a psychopathic liar. Some of these guys were promoted. Nobody was fired. Nobody was disciplined. Nobody lost their job. But the tax cattle will pay $900,000 to Mr. Perez for what these psychos did.
Just attempting to get some information from Mr. Perez, and that we had been with Mr. Perez all day, and we were running out of things to say to him to try to get the answer about where his father was located.
We didn't know what else to say, so we just went ahead and lied. And we said, your dad is dead and we're going to kill your dog if you don't come up with a confession. Don't think for a second it's an isolated case that these guys do this to people. Don't think it's isolated that this only happened to Mr. Perez. This only happened at the Fontana, California Police Department. This is happening all over the place all the time. How many false confessions have they been able to manipulate people into? Now, I'm talking about law enforcement. I'm talking about sheriff's department and police departments all across this nation. Every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year. How many? How many people are sitting in jail right now who have confessed to a crime that they didn't commit because the cops lied to them, wore them down, psychologically tormented them into a confession?
There is no indication that there has been an internal review, and none of the officers involved have been disciplined. Several have been promoted.
Promoting the very people who would do this same thing to your mother, to your father, to your sons, to your brothers and sisters. These cops were promoted after doing this to this guy. In normal cases, If you do this to somebody, you've committed a crime, and not only do you lose your job, you go to jail. These cops should be in jail.
Earlier this year, Perez settled with the city for $900,000. The city issued a statement to CNN saying the settlement included no finding of wrongdoing. The city added that Perez was not isolated as claimed. He was given his medication and fed multiple times. For Perez and his father, the trauma continues.
No amount of compensation will ever compensate me for what I went through. Ever.
Shimon joins us.
But wait, there's more. Listen to this very last part right here.
Now, what happened after Perez was released from the hospital?
The investigation didn't end. I mean, they were so convinced that something happened in that house that the police, within an hour after Mr. Perez was released from the hospital, they went to a court and got a warrant to put a tracker on his vehicle.
But his father was alive.
But his father was alive. But they were, for whatever reason, they were so convinced that something happened, and they didn't give up for weeks. They kept investigating him. It's pretty crazy, right?
Dad's alive. Nothing happened. They psychologically tormented this guy. There's a $900,000 settlement. Within an hour after releasing him from the hospital, they put a tracker on his car because they're convinced something had to have happened. And all this happened because somebody called the police for help. This is the kind of help the Fontana, California Police Department gave to Mr. Perez, and it's probably the same kind of help you can expect if you call them for help. Leave your thoughts about this in the comments section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. If you want to support the channel further, grab a shirt, become a channel member, and subscribe to my brand new channel called The Disturbing Illusion, where we expose the left versus right paradigm lie happening under the big top emanating from Washington's District of Criminals. Remember, in times of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. I will see you in the next video.